Good evening and welcome to Athens City Council. It's Monday, February 4th, 2019. We're in regular business session tonight. It is 7:03 p.m. And our first item of business is to establish a quorum. All members of council are present tonight. Next item of business is disposition of the minutes for the regular session held January 22nd, 2019. Could I have a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
And we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved. Next, we have communications. We do have two items that Council has received, one of which is a notice from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control out of the Department of Commerce. And this is for a transfer of title. And this is from KSRR LLC, doing business as Athenian Carryout. That's at the first floor on 74th North Court Street, and that is transferring to Athenian Carryout and Deli. So it's a transfer, it's a name change. And then the other item that we have is from Police Chief Tom Pyle, and this is the 2018 Law Enforcement Training Fund and Drug Fund Expenditures and Revenue Report. And what the police chief does for us each year is say that reports on the revenues that were received, either in terms of fines, there is a small amount of interest that comes in from that, and there's also some seizure and forfeiture of assets. And the expenditures this year totaled out of that fund $5,060. And the items that were purchased with those funds were personal computers, two of those, a desk, some headsets for some of the police officers, and then a portable breath tester. So those totals were $5,060. Do we have other communications from council members? Any other items? Yes, Councilmember Kotlas.
Yes, thank you, President Nisley. I have three. I believe it was last week, Member Crowell mentioned that he is attending a Complete Streets workshop on Tuesday, February 12th. That is a week from tomorrow. And I wanted to let everyone know that I'm also signed up for this workshop, so I will also be present at the community center. That is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. In room B on the first floor. The second thing that I have is Thursday, the 21st, is the regular board meeting at the Athens High School Board of Education. That's 6:30 at the Athens High School auditorium. And then Monday, the 25th of February, Superintendent Tom Gibbs will be paying council a visit and giving us an update on the where they're moving now that they have made some decisions on the path forward with the buildings. So thank you.
Any other communications? We'll move on to communications and reports from other elected officials. Law Director. Okay. Mayor Patterson.
I have a couple items for council tonight. Most of it is street related. North Court Street will have a lane closure. It'll start tomorrow at 8 a.m. and that will be between West State Street and West Washington Street. This is for road repair. Eden Place on the Far East, in the Far East neighborhood. Eden will have a street closure as well between Jacobs Drive and Dalton Avenue. That will begin tomorrow, also at 8 a.m., and it will continue on until the manhole cover has been replaced. So we're hoping that's a one-day project or less. So that will be happening tomorrow. And then finally, there's going to be work for Ohio University on South Green Drive. Traffic will be reduced to one lane of traffic. There will be flaggers between Oxbow Trail and University Terrace for utility work, and that starts tomorrow and will wrap up on February 8th. I've also been receiving lots and lots of these wonderful little postcards from a multitude of different people expressing their interest and support for the Bailey Bike Trail system in the Wayne National Forest. So I'm sure I'll be getting lots more of those in time.
Duly noted.
And one last thing to share with council, after the heroin screening that took place at Ohio University last week, I reached out to Mayor Steve Williams of Huntington, West Virginia, someone I've known for a while through the National League of Cities, but asked if I could come and meet with him in Huntington. I'll be doing that on March 1st to not only talk about some of the advances that they have made with the heroin opiate epidemic, but also they're doing some very creative things with housing for military veterans in public land and having tiny houses put on those lands for homeless veterans to have a place to live. So Chief Pyle will be going with me. I extend that invitation to anyone on council who would like to take a road trip to Huntington, West Virginia with me on the 1st of March.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
That's great.
March 1st.
Thank you. Right. Tonight we mainly have ordinances for second reading. When ordinances come through City Council, they go through committee first, and then they go through 3 readings. So on the business meeting a few weeks ago, there would have been some ordinances for third reading, which were approved. Tonight we'll be reading those second reading ordinances. What usually happens is the title only is read. If there's someone here that wishes to make a comment, or if there are additional questions, we always allow a moment for that. But just by way of explanation, so you'll know what we're doing tonight. So we now have ordinances for second reading. The first one is 0419, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of softening salt for the water treatment plant, introduced by Councilmember Butler. Not seeing any comments or questions, we'll move on to 0519. This is an ordinance closing East Union Street between Court and University Terrace on Saturday, April 6, 2019, from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the International Street Fair. And this is introduced by Councilmember Katsas. Ordinance 619 is an ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into an LPA state project agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for bridge painting within the corporation boundary on U.S. State Route 33 and declaring an emergency, introduced by Councilmember Katsas. Ordinance 719 is an ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into an LPA state project agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for bridge painting within the corporation boundary on U.S. State Route 33 and declaring an emergency, introduced by Councilmember Katsas. Ordinance 1119 is an ordinance amending Title 15 taxes, Chapter 15.01, Income Tax, Section 15.01.13, Board of Appeal, introduced by Councilmember Fall. Ordinance 1219 is an ordinance granting a perpetual easement to Ohio University to permit installation of certain utility conduits on Station Street property, introduced by Councilmember Fall. We now have ordinances for first reading, and we usually offer a brief explanation of these as each are read. Ordinance 1319 is an ordinance amending the 2019 appropriation ordinance and is introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Madam President. Allow me to read the ordinance. An ordinance amending the 2019 appropriation ordinance. Section 1, the 2019 appropriation ordinance 140-18 is hereby amended as follows. Decreasing Clerk's Computer Fund 231.106.536,200 by $19,269. Decreasing Recreational Fund 270.940.536,200 by $21,570. Decreasing Drug Enforcement Fund 294.207.5539 by $2,500, and increasing Drug Enforcement Fund 294.207.5392 by same amount to allow investigator to attend Celebrite cell phone training, and increasing Judge Computer Fund 230.106.536200 by $9,500, and decreasing and increasing the total appropriations by said amount.
Okay, thank you. So we've heard the reading of the different accounts from which the appropriation will be changed. Ordinance 1419 is an ordinance amending Ordinance 14218, staffing levels and declaring an emergency, also introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Madam President. I think in our disk drive and on paper we have copies of 1419. It consists of the ordinance itself and then an attachment which gives the pay scales and positions. I'll read the ordinance here. An ordinance amending Ordinance 142-18, staffing levels and declaring an emergency. Whereas Assistant Director of Public Works Andrew Dougherty has requested an extended military leave of absence be ordained by the Council of the City of Athens, Ohio, Section 1, Ordinance 142-18, staffing levels are hereby amended to add a second position of Assistant Director of Public Works that will be temporary from March 4th through July 31st, 2019, a copy of which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. This position shall be non-exempt at an hourly rate of $29.01. And then attached to that is the actual breakdown of where the funds are coming from. If you'll look on that spreadsheet section, you'll see that in Street Fund 220-.17, Assistant Director of Public Works, 0.30 fraction will be used as for compensation. Then below 740.636, Water Administration will contribute 0.35%, and then 750.336, Sewer Administration, another 0.35 for a total of 100%.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay. We'll move on to resolutions, and we have one that is for a second reading, and I do believe we need to suspend this tonight. This is Resolution 119, a resolution indicating services the City of Athens will provide for the proposed annexation of approximately 0.74 acres located on Hillcrest Drive, as requested by the annexation petitioner and declaring an emergency, and is introduced by Councilmember Fall.
Thank you. I move that we suspend for Resolution 01.
Second.
Thank you. The reason for resolution is because there's a very short amount of time between certain paperwork going between the city and the county, and this is to ensure that this paperwork gets to the county in time to do their steps in annexation.
Okay, so we have a motion and second for suspending the rules. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The rules have been suspended.
Thank you. I move that we adopt Resolution 01.
Second.
Thank you. This is what we do in the long line when we annex property. This is providing what we are going to provide for city services, which is fire, water, sewer, code, enforcement, police, those sort of things that we do for all the other citizens in our city.
Okay, so we have a motion and second for approval. Are there any other comments or questions from council members or administration or the audience? We'll go ahead and vote on this. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries and the resolution is approved. We now have a one reading resolution, R219, a resolution opposing federal government shutdowns and encouraging the President of the United States and United States Congress to keep the government open. This is sponsored by all members of council, and I believe Councilmember Fall will be speaking to this.
Thank you. We talked about this last week, and I was going to put it on the table, but at the urging of the city mayor and others on council, we fleshed out the resolution. Allow me to read it. Whereas on December 22nd, 2018, the President of the United States and the United States Congress failed to agree on a timely appropriation of sufficient funds for the 2019 fiscal year, or a temporary continuing resolution that resulted in the longest shutdown of federal government offices and services in the history of the United States. And whereas the federal government shutdown resulted in hundreds of thousands of government workers facing the uncertainty of lost wages, while thousands of essential government workers required to continue to work without compensation. And whereas the closure of federal offices and loss of funding caused hundreds of essential government services and programs to completely cease operations. And whereas shutdowns are detrimental to our nation, and whereas the health, well-being, and livelihood of a workforce should not be compromised to further a political discussion, and whereas the government shutdowns cause loss of social safety net programs such as Supplemental Nutrition Assist Program and Women's, Infant, and Children's Program, hurting our most vulnerable citizens. And whereas federally subsidized programs that provide housing for low-income households, including Section 8 voucher programs, are also affected by a government shutdown. And whereas the harm to Athens residents and businesses from a government shutdown is immediate and will be felt long after a shutdown. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Athens, Ohio, Section 1, the City of Athens expresses its concern for the welfare of Athens residents and businesses from the harmful effects of federal government shutdown. Athens City Council further encourages the President of the United States and the U.S. Congress to make good faith effort to keep the government open. And 3, the Clerk of Council shall send copies of this resolution to the President of the United States, all members of the Ohio Congressional Delegation, National League of Cities, and the Ohio Municipal League. So part of me says this is really incredible that we have to pass a resolution to ask, please, oh dear, President and Congress, please keep our government open. It's a pathetic point of time that we are with our federal government, in my humble opinion. They're playing, games with people's livelihoods and citizens who need, SNAP and housing, and that's directly affecting people here. So I think that by passing resolutions, we let known that for our citizens, we're talking up for our citizens and our fellow neighbors to let this people know that it's just not the right thing to do. Thank you.
And you're making, this is a one reading resolution, so you're going to make a motion.
I make a motion.
And with some second, we have a motion and second for approval of this resolution. Are there any other comments from council members? Yes, Council Member Butler.
Thank you, President Nisley. I appreciate that. I was absent last week, but I want to express my gratitude and acknowledge that I appreciate the courage of my colleagues on council for bringing this forward. I appreciate the mayor's support for this as well, and his involvement. And I concur with my colleague on council. It's unfortunate that we are held victim to a certain sense with what's happening at the federal level, and I think it's appalling. I'd also like to acknowledge that I believe that all politics are local and have an impact on everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mayor Patterson.
I applaud council for moving forward with this resolution. Last week I spoke to the 3rd grade class at Alexander, and one of the toughest questions that I have ever had to answer wasn't, what's my favorite color? What's my favorite animal? Where do I like to eat? It was, what's my opinion on this shutdown and its effects? And it came from a child whose family was directly affected by that shutdown. And what was difficult wasn't so much answering, because I answered from my heart as to how I felt and the impacts of it. It was looking at the looks on the faces of the teachers and the principal who were also there looking to see, Mayor, how are you going to answer this question? And I answered it pretty much in line with the way your resolution reads in terms of the impacts that shutdown had on our citizens and the citizens of the United States. So again, I applaud you for moving forward. I'm glad you didn't table it. I'm glad you kept it moving forward, because I think it's needed. There's, we're now all sitting in anticipation of what's going to happen a week from this Friday.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay. And I'm sorry, Councilmember McGee, I didn't see you over the other side.
Thank you. I just wanted to add, I find this a very confusing issue since we have so little actual input, but I do think we have some input on a subsidiary role in this. My understanding is that our state senator, Mr. Stivers, has actually been a co-sponsor of a bill that would work to prevent shutdowns in the future, and I would applaud him for that. A Republican, I would actually applaud. And I would say that perhaps what council should be doing is to directing our efforts to the senators and the legislators who do have the power to prevent this kind of thing in the future. And as much as I applaud the resolution itself, I think the public needs to be aware that they're not going to listen to our resolution as much as they're going to listen to the public when they make the phone calls and the emails and the letters, and that's what's making a change. And I applaud the public for that. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Yes, sir.
How is the city of Athens preparing for what could be the next possible? What are plans to go on in place? I know it takes courage to speak out, from especially the children before. I know them well. I know the government programs. Anyhow, I just wanted to know what you all might include, what you all perceive, because obviously, represent power with the president. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to ask that.
Okay, and I'm just going to repeat it because we usually have people go up to the podium because there's a microphone there so that it can be heard. Okay. But the question was, how are we preparing for the next time that this might happen? And it's an excellent question, and I'm not sure one that we've had further discussion about as council members, but certainly working, I think, if I can speak on behalf of council members and just give a brief answer, because we're not in a committee meeting tonight to get involved in discussion on it, but I think to work as earnestly as we can and in a coordinated way to make sure that our agencies are working to get the resources that we need to get out to the citizens. So if those are food banks and food pantries, and if there's ways that we can cooperate with Job and Family Services that somehow might make the streamlining of some of these things more efficiently, then I think we'll do everything in our power. Work with city administration, of course, too, and what's within our limits to be able to do, but try and do that to move the community forward in a healthy way. Thank you for the question. Okay, so we have a motion and second for approval of this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries and the resolution is approved. We have announcements and other business, and I know that next Monday night we will be having a committee meeting, and I believe we have at least 3 probably committees that will be meeting: Transportation, City and Safety Services, and Finance and Personnel Committee. Okay. And then I believe the other business that we need to take care of tonight is the reappointment to the Recreation Advisory Board. And I believe Councilmember Butler, you have that.
Thank you, President Isley. Yes, you are correct. I would like to make a motion to accept the reappointment of a 2-year term, again, volunteer, of Mr. Mark Ferguson, who has been a member of the Arts, Parks, and Recreation Committee, Advisory Board, rather. And if we could, so it'd be from January 2019 to 2021. Okay. Thank you.
So we have a motion for his reappointment.
Yes,
Do we have
please.
a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and second for approval of the reappointment of Mark Ferguson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, approved and thanked. Yes, for all these volunteer efforts.
Thank you.
And at the end of the meeting, we always have an opportunity for citizens to speak on legislative items and city services, and those are for items that have not been covered on the agenda tonight. So if it's not something we've already addressed and something different that you might want to speak to, any citizen has that opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. And I see that you might be interested in speaking. Is that true, sir? Yeah. No. And do you have something?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And Is it okay for you to come up to the podium, please? And what we do is we ask that you give us your name, so we have that for the records. And if you have any affiliation with any group, we would also like to know that too.
Oh, yeah. 1 second.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
And thank you for signing in. That way we'll spell your name right for the minutes.
Wow. Does my 3 minutes start now?
It will.
Okay.
We actually have a timer up here.
All right.
So
Well,
you will. There will be a light.
That's the clerk's job, right?
Okay.
All right. City of Athens. Hello. How you doing, Mayor Steve? And council members. I don't know you all yet, but we'll sure get to know each other. My name is Bolo J. Those are my pronouns, and I'm affiliated with the People's Justice League. I've been working on behalf of Seraphic and that group to, in my ways, make amends to, which is Athens, my community, because I've had issues of, well, abuse, and I'm trying my best to, again, make amends. And I'm doing that through a series of shows. Like in August, I had a drag show at the Union, and it raised over almost $1,500 for PJO, minus the local economy effect of my events and paying up different performers and stuff like that. We gave them about $700. We're supposed to host an event at Casa Nueva on December the 8th, but due to implicit bias that I incurred, as well as another POC, well, 3 other POCs, 2 LGBTQIA, I was unable to host my show and do it there. I've been in talks with Arts West. We're negotiating what should be an awesome show. I'm bringing some of the best cabaret performers there are that I know. Have an opportunity to bring Aaron Carter to the city. If you don't know him, he went to rehab, out and proud, bisexual male, and because of my connections working as the promoter of goodness for the last 5 years, I have been able to arrange this. Still negotiating that, but I can safely say that I've got other supporting acts. Without him, we will still have a good show, and it's going to be open to the public. It's a community-driven show, but we're going to see if we can get some alcohol, but mostly it's going to be a sliding scale donation. But Jackie O's has been a willing partner in the past, and I'm thankful for the student cooperative organization where I live at the Firehouse Cooperative. And I just wanted to say that in my negotiations with Art West, I feel like there is some bias there. Because first, the city of Athens, I've been told through Emily Beveridge, who is the messenger, so I'm not going to kill her, so figuratively speaking, that is, that I can't have any burlesque in my show. And last week, the money I've earned through donations, I've paid for my own shows. I pay for these things. I'm giving the city of Athens a check. And I can't have burlesque in my show when it's been done there before. We don't have elements of nudity. That's what tassels are for, if you perform burlesque. That's what staging is for. And I agreed to, okay, no burlesque. But last week, as I'm negotiating my contract with the city, they said that something else, and why are you putting up roadblocks in front of me, the city of Athens, when I'm trying to do something safe? I've got Red Brick doing ABC training. I've got other businesses. My house did ABC training.
Let me turn that on.
And I know that I'm being buzzed, but I don't
actually,
care.
the 3 minutes is so if you want to wrap up your comments,
wrapping
that would
up,
be great.
I'm, I guess, passionate. I'm very blessed to have the willing partners of my community who have donated, like Shagbark, Jackie O's, and the blessings of friends and family of the student cooperative organization where I live, especially Sarah Fick. And I am pushing very hard as the promoter of goodness. This is what I do. This is my business. I've worked with over 200 acts, over 300 different causes. I don't do regular shows. I do benefit shows. And so with that in mind, why is the city of Athens putting up roadblocks for the show?
Thank you for the comments tonight.
Any
and we
questions?
usually use this as a time to be able to offer comments to us, so we won't be engaging in discussion with you. It's not that we're not hearing what you're saying tonight. I will add the comment that I think your next step is to talk with city administration.
Well, I've done that. I spoke to the mayor in November, and I've been speaking to Andrew and Emily, and this is the question that I have for you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for making
You're
us
very
aware
welcome.
of it. Okay. Thanks for being here tonight. Okay. And is there anyone else who wants to speak tonight? Then I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second for adjourning the meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We will adjourn. It's 7:35 p.m. and we will see you all next Monday night in committee meeting. Thank you so much.